the White House is working. Oh gosh, the point with Chris Liza, is that really
It
still
seems
existing?
like
Ooh,
every CNN article I click on, I'm like, damn it, I'm reading Chris Liza's article.
So
Yeah.
Murkowski is apparently looking to negotiate her support for Neera Tanden.
Oh my God.
And is now, when it's phrased this way, that she seeks the White House attention on Alaskan economic concerns. Part of that is Anwar. Look, I mean, I don't mind them saying, you want some infrastructure in the next bill? Great. You got it. But while you're there, how about not making it for Neera Tanden's sake? How about making it for the sake of a $15 minimum wage?
Exactly.
I mean, now, again, we don't know. Is this something that the White House is doing? Or
Right.
is this something that Murkowski is floating so that they come to her? I mean,
Right.
so, reserve judgment. But it will be, it's possible, and it certainly would be extremely clarifying. We just spoke to Jonathan Coney. He's like, you never know if they're saying stuff publicly, if they believe it, or they saying it for the sake of other people. If they negotiate some type of deal with Murkowski to save Neera Tanden's nomination, when they basically just walk away from the $15 minimum wage without attempting anything.
And if that negotiation includes drilling,
well,
Right.
of course,
Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, that's what she wants.
Right.
That's one
For
of the
Neera
things.
Tanden.
One of the things on her list. Here is Jen Psaki yesterday. She is the White House communications chief. White House, and this is the White House press room. She is asked about the $15 minimum wage and what the administration will and will not fight on.
On the parliamentarian decision, you said that he respects that decision, but progressives don't understand this. In some respects, they're like, why not fight for this? So why is the White House not more aggressively challenging that and sending the vice president to try and potentially overrule that with the vote?
Well, the decision for the vice president to vote to overrule or to take a step to overrule is not a simple decision. It would also require 50 votes.
Pause it for one second.
It's not
Pause it for 1 second. I want to clarify something. I'm going to give her I'm going to be the most charitable I can be here. That what she's referring to is once the vice president overrules the advice of the parliamentarian. Understand, this is just an advisory. Like, what is the problem? I mean, I know a little something about Robert's rules. Parliamentarian does not have any power. The parliamentarian just gives you advice. They're a consigliere, if you will, of the Senate. And my advice is, no, this doesn't comport. If the vice president overrules, it then takes 60 votes to overrule the vice president. The only time you need 50 votes is when it's an actual vote on the bill. And by bill, I don't mean the $15 minimum wage. I mean the $1.9 trillion COVID package.
Right.
So when they say you need 50 votes, the implication is Kristen Sinema, Joe Manchin, any Democrat is going to vote against the entire $1.9 trillion bill. Now, they may be pissed because they got jammed, but they got jammed. But all right, let's continue.
Overrule is not a simple decision. It would also require 50 votes. As you know, it's not a one-step decision. And the president and the vice president both respect the history of the Senate. They are both formerly served in the Senate, and that's not an action we intend to take. But the president is committed to raising the minimum wage, to working to determine the best vehicle forward to doing that. That's why he put it in the package. He wants it to be raised to $15 an hour, and he will be in touch with leaders from all wings of the party in determining the best path forward for that. Go ahead, Jeff.
A follow-up to Jeff's question, which strikes me. The White House doesn't have 50 votes to confirm Neera Tanden as OMB director, and yet we heard from the White House Chief of Staff say that the White House is they're going to fight their guts out. Fight our guts out was the phrase he used
This is amazing.
to get her confirmed. So why push for that and not push as hard, one could say, for raising the minimum wage. You could make the argument that the American people stand to benefit more from a higher wage than they would
Wow.
from a chosen OMB director.
Who was that?
Well, I think that's mixing a few things kind of irresponsibly, if I'm just being totally
Oh,
honest.
okay.
I would say on the minimum wage, the president included a raise of the minimum wage in his package because he felt strongly that it's long overdue, that men and women working hard, trying to make ends meet, shouldn't be living at the poverty level. That's why he put it in his package. There is a process that it goes through, a parliamentary process, when it's a reconciliation bill, as you know, but for people who haven't been following all the nitty gritty of this, because it's a budgetary bill, that's why it went through the process. And, again, I would send you to talk to leaders in Congress to see if they have the 50 votes necessary, but regardless, the president, the vice president have made the decision they're not going to move forward with that step, but also it's not a simple process. It requires 2 steps. As it relates to Neera Tanden, she is somebody who has decades of experience. She is qualified. She is prepared to lead the budget
All right, whatever.
team.
We don't need to hear this
And-
shit
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
yeah. Well, no. I mean, so she points out the nitty gritty there. That's what they're relying on. They're relying on the process being way too complicated for people for them to fully grasp it. And by the way, that was an NBC reporter who asked that excellent question, because the contrast is clear. As we mentioned, right now, Lisa Murkowski is trying to leverage her vote for Neera Tanden to allow for certain goodies for Alaska, including, in her mind, drilling in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, which Biden put a halt to. If he caves on that in order to get Tanden's vote for OMB and then does nothing on the $15 minimum wage, that question, it struck a nerve with Psaki for a reason. That's why she was like, I'm basically offended by this question, because they've been fighting way harder in order to pay off the Clinton wing of the Democratic Party and give them some red meat than to actually fight on $15 minimum wage in this bill.
Well, and if you want to kill something, put it through a process, make it complicated, right? That's like the oldest trick in the book. And Democrats are great at that. He'll fight tooth and nail for Neera Tanden. I mean, what's frustrating to me about this is it's not like he's the effing president and he can just pick up the phone and start hustling for those 50 votes. That's what's offensive about what she said. Anytime they want to distance something, it's because of the votes, it's because of the dynamics, it's because of parliamentary procedure, but he's on the phone making calls for Neera Tanden. I mean, it's just so blatantly obvious. I think.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like and this is my charitable view. You nominate somebody. I wouldn't have nominated her, but you nominate somebody. So at the very least, it's important for you to pay lip service that you're going to fight for them, right? I mean, because you don't want anybody to feel like, oh, I'm not going to sign up for that. I'm going to go into a meat grinder. They're not going to fight for me. You pretend like you're going to fight for them. We'll see. We'll see about all that. But what is clear is she is definitely being purposefully obtuse about what's involved in the parliamentarian,
Yes.
in overruling the parliamentarian. It is not a 2-step process any more than actually passing the bill is a 2-step
Right.
process. It is a 1-step process. And if they attempt to stop it, it's on them. The burden is on the people who want to overrule the vice president. There doesn't have to be a 50-person vote. That's a vote for the
That's right.
entire bill, which is going to happen one way or another. So, I mean, that's a little bit disingenuous. And she was very careful not to make it sound, she said, and then you have a 50-person vote. Well, yes, that's the vote on the bill, but that's not a vote on the decision to overrule the parliamentarian. Now,
Yeah.
I do think that, to be fair, the difference between overruling the parliamentarian is that it is not something that is particularly common. The idea of fighting for somebody who is nominated, that is more common. And there are risks. She doesn't get into this. There are risks associated with overruling the parliamentarian. The last time the Republicans did it, Jim Jeffords switched over, became a Democrat, or an independent, I think, but ended up caucusing with the Democrats, and from Vermont. And so there's, I don't know if Joe Manchin would do that or not. I don't know if he would threaten that he would do it and just bluff, or who knows. But there are risks. People should be aware of that. But the idea that the fact that she doesn't want to lay out exactly what's involved with this indicates that they are worried about the heat they're taking about it.
100%.
And they're worried.
Oh, go on, Sam.
Well, look, this is, I mean, if I'm Kamala Harris and I'm thinking I'm going to run for president in 2024, I'm going to be pretty upset because like you're leaving me out to dry, because she doesn't, I don't think that she has any agency in this situation, really.
No.
I don't think that she has the ability to go like, Biden, I'm doing it. I mean, she could
Well,
say,
yeah,
I
mean, it doesn't excuse it, but yeah, I don't think she does have agent. But the point, Sam, though, is like you're being generous, but I also think you're being fair. But my point would be, if Murkowski can use her vote on Neera Tanden to leverage goodies for Alaska, certainly you could sit down with Manchin and Sinema and talk to them about this process, and then maybe give them things for West Virginia and Arizona down the road in order for them to stomach overruling the parliamentarian, because they're just using the parliamentarian as a shield. No matter what happens, no matter how much the White House is, apparently they're whittling down. Jeff Stein is reporting that centrist Democrats are still trying to push for the income threshold to be pushed down, are still trying to tweak the state and local, the $350 billion, I believe, that's going to state and local to go to different infrastructure, whatever. Like there's still a negotiation process going on. So you could use that opportunity to promise Sinema and Manchin something in order to keep that $15 minimum wage in. So it goes both ways.
The problem with Joe Manchin, unlike Murkowski, is that Manchin and Sinema, it's going to look so severely bad for them to vote against the $1.9 trillion package and bring pork back to their states. I mean, it's going to look bad for Murkowski too. I just don't think, I think it's something that's going to be in the ads over and over. They're already targeting them in their states for not being responsive with that new PAC that's Corbyn Trent's PAC attacking them. I just don't think it's going to be a good look. I think they're stuck. They're going to have to vote for the package. And so Biden's trying to find a way through back doors to block the $15 minimum wage. That's my theory. I don't think it's coming from Murkowski. I think it's a Biden administration thing, and they're working with Murkowski.